Now we're going to answer 2 questions from the Knitting Daily community. And to help us do that, I have Barry Klein from Trendsetters Yarns and Laura Bryant from Prison. Welcome.
Thanks, Shay.
And the question is, the first question, okay, is Chrissy from Ann Arbor, Michigan asks, how important is gauge when working with textured yarns?
Well, gauge is important no matter what kind of yarn you're using. And just as a quick example, you make your whole gauge, you take your tape measure, and you measure it all the way across. So in this case, we've got 7 inches. There are 35 stitches on the needle, and when we do the math, we've got 5 stitches to the inch. So as long as the pattern we're working with is 5 stitches to the inch, you're ready to go.
Okay.
And when you do get gauge and you measure it properly, you've got what Laura's wearing. As an example, when you don't check gauge, well, here you go.
You go.
Oh my gosh, is
it
that
would just
the same?
about fit me.
Oh, that's the same needle?
The same needle.
Right.
But she didn't do it.
Same
in
yarns.
But they never checked gauge. They thought, I always get gauge, off I go.
Oh my goodness.
And one thing that does happen with textured yarns is they're different from smooth plied yarns. And you could always be a knitter who gets gauge, and then suddenly you're on a textured yarn and your gauge is entirely different. So it really becomes important.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the next question is, how can I combine my fun skeins in new ways?
Oh, and every knitter has lots of skeins that they have fallen in love with and purchased, and one of the things that Barry and I both love to do is combine those skeins.
Well, yeah, you go and buy them on sale, and then you have a stash.
Right. Exactly, and you got to use up your stash. And so some of the fun things that we've shown, in this case, we've taken a brushed mohair and mixed it with a self-striping woolen acrylic. When you take 2 printed yarns and mix them together, you're on a big needle, it uses them up. So here they're joined together, much bigger needle. In this case, it's the same 2 yarns, each used separately, and they're done in stripes. So if you have one that you've got more of, one you've got less of, it's a great way of using them up.
So, so the stripes take less, Barry, is that what you're saying?
Well, there's 2 rows of one and 4 of the other.
Okay, in between.
Exactly. In this case, we've taken 2 yarns, one brushed, one not brushed, and put them together. So you have to watch out quantity. You know, you have to make sure in your stash that it's not the 1 balls.
Yes.
For the 1 ball projects, we've got this here, where we've used some metallics, we've used lots of basic wools in different colors, and a continuous lash, and you can see that we've spread them out. So if you run out of one color, easy enough to throw another color in there.
Well, Barry, when you were doing this, did you do this in triangles, squares? How did you do that?
They're mitered diamonds, and so it's like a jigsaw puzzle. You cast on, decrease in the middle, and then when you get to a point, you pick up and start the next one. So there's no finishing. When you're done, you're done.
Okay. And we're here.
Well, with this one, it's a base yarn. It's a brushed mohair, and we've thrown some ribbons and some details in there. The one on the mannequin really is my favorite. And on that one, it's 3 different yarns, each used for 1 row. It's what we call, Laura started this design technique, it's an ABC.
ABC?
Yep, you cast on with A, you join B and come across, join C, and come across, and sitting here waiting for you is A, ready to go.
Very clever.
So you're only carrying each yarn for that one little row on the edge, and it works out perfectly, and you can't lose your place because you always start where there's 2 yarns, and you don't use the one you just finished with. You start with a new one.
You two are so creative. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Shay.
Thanks for having us, Shay.
And we'll be right back.
Knitting Daily. Make time for yarn every day. Projects, patterns, ideas, and techniques from today's show to help you make time for yarn every day can be found on the web at knittingdailytv.com. This is show 110. Continue knitting daily every day by joining the online Knitting Daily community and receive a free newsletter 5 times a week, filled with step-by-step techniques, inspiring reader-contributed stories, and free patterns. It's about knitting all the time. knittingdaily.com.